Do you know what makes you special? Follow and subscribe to the special Fallout series show now so you can find out. And enjoy the following episode of the special Fallout series show. Welcome back to another episode of the special Fallout series show. I'm your host, Mikey, and today we are here to talk about Fallout Season 1, Episode 1, The End. This will be a spoiler review. Before we get into spoilers, I will give you a warning that we are getting into the spoilers. But before we get into that, I figured we should talk about some aspects of the show that I think is making this it's going to be highly likely that this is going to be something I consider a great show just based on the first episode. I've still only watched the first episode. But so much of what we see in the first episode, so many different aspects that we see, signify to me that this is going to be a good show. One, the costuming is great in this. It looks, and I'm talking as a fan of the video games. Just as a fan of TV shows, what we should really mention first is the acting. The actors in this show are great. They did a great job of casting. We'll say that this episode is starring Walton Goggins, Ella Purnell, and Aaron Moten. Those are our three main characters throughout this episode that we follow. So, there's a lot of other great performances by other actors and actresses, but those three specifically, those are the ones that we follow the most throughout this episode. And if you're going to have different characters having different leading roles, it's important that you get all three of those characters right. You don't want somebody to be the weak link that you go like, oh, that person's playing one of the main characters. They're kind of dragging it down. No, all three of them nailed it in this first episode. So I am really looking forward to seeing what else they give us going forward in the following episodes. So acting, that's really the thing I should mention first, and then costuming. That, as a fan of TV and of the video game, it's gotta look right. As a fan of the video game, I want this to look right, and it looks right. They got the costuming down to look like you expect it to look. The Vault Dwellers, the Raiders, the Brothers of Steel. The Brotherhood of Steel. It looks like it's supposed to look. Which is amazing. The vault looks like what you would expect the vault to look like. The wasteland, what we've seen of it, feels and looks like what it's supposed to look like. And then, what else is in here? The costuming, the characters themselves. Okay, we talked about the actors, of course. The characters. My goodness, again, blending me as a fan of just TV in general and then being a fan of this video game series, these all feel like characters that you would encounter in the video game. And that's really hard to do because, again, this is not The Last of Us, which I absolutely love that show, but this is not The Last of Us, where those are defined characters, and basically that TV show is just adapting exactly what they didn't do exactly what, but they're just adapting that video game, into a TV show, where this is based on a video game series, but they are writing a wholly complete new story, complete new characters. So they have to make sure that it all feels right for this 25 or 30 years or whatever it is now, however many years these games have been out. you know, all that history we have of it, they have to feel like what we expect them to feel like in the video game, and they certainly do. Um, each type of character that you expect to encounter in the game is very well represented in here. You got, again, you got Walter Goggins as the ghoul, somebody who's been out in the wasteland. That's represented very well. You got your character, Ella Purnell, playing Lucy. That is you in the video game. Somebody who's kind of oblivious to what's going on around the world, and you have a lot to learn. That's usually you in those games. So that character is represented well, and then yeah, just like Aaron Moten's character Maximus, the hard ass, been living and having a hard time, born and raised in the wastelands, having that tough upbringing, that tough gritty background. That's represented well. Again, the characters are all done well. I love the tone is so hard to nail in this type of thing, because the Fallout games, they're violent, but they're funny. They're dark and sad, but again, humorous. So you have to have all of that in here, and have it blend well together to make a very to make an entertaining show. And then that's exactly what they did. They took all those elements, were able to blend them together, and while very violent things are happening on screen, it still happens in a way that you laugh at. And that's not always easy to do. So I'm very impressed that they did such a good job of that. I love the contrast of colors throughout this show. Like the very bright colors that they use when they are in the before times, before the pre-war, and then in the vault, and then when they're out in the wasteland. When we see Maximus with the Brotherhood of Steel, when we see the ghoul, that scene's dark. It's at night, it's dark anyways, but yeah, it's it's darker than the bright cheery mood you're supposed to have in pre-war and in the vault. And again, so awesome that you have those type of sort of mood set, or that tone set, where you're like, oh, there's all this bright happy things going on, but surrounding that, both the pre-war and in the vault, you have this bright happy area, but surrounding it, there's a lot of dark things going on. So I love the way that they were able to nail all of those things. And yeah, again, that is just my thoughts on how well they are putting this show together so far. I kind of already talked about that in my little instant reaction to the global fan premiere, live fan premiere, but I wanted to mention it here again before we get into like a full-on reviews of each of these episodes. But now let's do a review of this episode, and now we will be getting into spoilers. And I will admit, I've done a lot of podcasts in the past on TV shows and movies, and I know myself. I know I can get bogged down in getting too into the details, which I don't want to do, because you watch the episode. If you're watching this, you watch the episode, so you don't want to hear me go into every single detail. So I'm doing my best here to just like hit some like key things that I thought were like great to see in each scene, and we'll set the stage still, okay, with each scene. So we open up, title card, the end. We see our main character played by Walter Goggins, Cooper Howard. He's working a birthday party with his and he's there with his daughter. Um, and we see a couple of dads at this birthday party, gossiping about him and saying, "Hey, what's this guy? Why is he working here? Oh, it must be because he needs to pay alimony, right?" And this is again a bright, cheery birthday party. Like the cake is bright. Everybody's wearing bright pastel colored clothing, but again, on the background, on the radio, on the TV shows that end up playing in this episode, there's a lot of talk about, hey, where's the whereabout of the president? There's a pending nuclear war coming. A lot of dark stuff happening so close to this bright, cheery thing that's happening. And so a couple of key moments that I thought were just amazing in this. Okay, so we set this up with Walter Goggins. He's taking pictures. One of the dads asks him to do a thumbs up. He doesn't want to do it. He says because of given the circumstances that are happening right now with this impending nuclear war. And later on, when the children are having cake, his daughter wants a piece of cake, and she asks him, "Hey, why don't you want to do the thumbs up? And what does it mean?" So he explains to his daughter Janie, "Hey, well, the thumbs up, when I was in the military, they taught me if you see an explosion in the distance, you hold up your thumb, and if the cloud is smaller than your thumb, you're okay to run. And if the cloud is bigger than your thumb, you don't need to run because it's over anyways." Now, yeah, now he goes and gets a piece of cake, right? He comes back, and in this time we see this bright flash, and Janie's looking out at this city. The bright flash came from the city, and Walter Goggins' character Cooper, he's not paying attention, but Janie's just staring off into the city, and she asks him, "Is it your thumb or my thumb?" And I'll tell you again, I'm a father of 5, so this one hit me because it was like, oh, geez, that innocence of a child. They just that, and you could tell she's scared, like, oh, it's definitely bigger than my thumb. Maybe it's not bigger than daddy's thumb. But so she asks, right, "Is it your thumb or my thumb?" And he looks up and sees like a huge plume of smoke, and he's like, he's trying to play it off at first, and then he just sees the explosion getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and then realizes they need to run. And again, all these bright, cheery people that were here at this birthday party, all these children, chaos breaks out. You see the dads punching each other and fighting each other to try to get into shelter. Cooper grabs Janie. They get on a horse and ride away. And we just see more bombs falling in the background, and then boom, fade to black. We get our next scene, which is Lucy, and this is 219 years later. And so we see her here. She is, she's like applying to be in a program with the neighboring vault for a breeding program. She, at this point, she hasn't been able to find, a suitable mate at this point. So she's just like listing off all these skills that she has: repair, science, speech. Again, funny line here where we saw what the United States was like pre-war. We just got a little glimpse of it, but president's off hiding somewhere. They're starting nuclear war, but we can already tell that this is still like a propaganda. The vault, inside the vault, it's kind of like a propaganda world. When she talks about she likes to teach speech, or she, speech is one of her specialties, and she likes to teach, and her specialty is U.S. history and ethics. Come on, that was funny. And then we got gymnastics, fencing. She's intermediate physical education. She's in riflery. She says she's not very good, but looks okay. Then enjoys walks and watching movies with her dad. She likes gardening with her dad. She's trying to do a family book club, but her brother's not receptive. And importantly, again, we getting some of the comedy in here, right? She's talking about her reproductive organs being intact and having good hygiene. But just the way she delivers it, like just a matter of fact, like this is just how I talk, because this is just a scientific thing, and this is important to have that intact in their world. Like that she will be a suitable mate. You know, and oh, we got the funny line in there too, where she's like, "Yeah, I haven't been able to find a suitable partner in here that isn't a relative," and which they have rules against. She ends up getting approved, and then so we see that her getting ready for her wedding. All the vault dwellers are getting ready. Again, Ella Purnell is Lucy here, and Lucy is ready for the real thing. She says she's ready for the real thing after 10 years of cousin stuff. Again, just so many like random little funny lines thrown around here and there. Again, by this, all these characters in the vault who are like this. You assume, still attempting to be like this clean cut. Presenting themselves to as a society that they have idealized in their heads, right? Then we see her dad, Hank, who's the overseer, and they have a discussion about getting married, and yeah, we see the vault open to vault, what is it, vault 32. And oh no, this is another scene. They get to vault 32. They're trying to get the gate open, but the gatekeeper is her cousin, he's pretending to not be able to open the gate because he says he's in love with her, and she's like, that was all fun and fine when they were kids, but they're cousins, so it's not sustainable long-term sexual practice. So he reluctantly opens the gate, where we meet Lee Moldover, however you say it, the overseer from Vault 32. And we learn here, this is key, that the previous overseer of Vault 32 died, and the two vaults, 32 and Vault 33, that Lucy is in, made this arrangement in exchange for goods. So Vault 32 is being given a breeder, and Vault 33 is going to give Vault 32 foods and junk, right? So we meet Monter, her groom. They get married. Everybody's sitting down at the reception, but something seems a little bit off with Vault 32, right? Like they're not acting quite like the vault dwellers of Vault 33. And we see Hank, Lucy's father, giving a speech, on how it's their duty to keep civilization going, and that radiation on the surface is dropping, and the next generation should be able to recolonize the surface. But it's been over 200 years since they've been up there, so they don't really know what it's like. But again, we see Lee Moldover, the leader here from Vault 33. She's got a smirk on her face, like maybe she does know. So we're getting suspicions here. And you know, Hank, though, he's just still giving a speech saying that he's hopeful that um, you know, they'll be able to go up there, and anybody who's up there, they'll be able to show them a better way to live, and that his daughter will be part of the future on the surface, and making the surface a better place again. We see Lucy and Monty go to their quarters, um, and yeah, they just get right to it. They get busy. um, while this is going on, we see Lucy's brother Norm. He's been watching everybody, just like us as audience members. He's been watching the way Vault 32 dwellers have been acting, and he's getting suspicious. So he walks over to Vault 32. The vault was left open, and he sees it's pretty abandoned in there. Then he finds a vault dweller murdered. So now he knows something is really going wrong. Then we cut back to Lucy and Monty, and they just got done with their deed, and now Lucy notice, hey, this Monty guy is acting weird. He doesn't seem to really know how to use like the utensils in the room. He seems off. And then we hear a battle in the background, and then Lucy and Monty get into a battle here. Lucy ends up getting stabbed. Monty starts choking her. She breaks the glass over his head, takes a piece of glass, slits his face open. He goes down, and she goes running to go see about the rest of the battle. And she runs out there and finds, a big battle going on between these raiders. The Vault 32. They're not the old Vault dwellers. They're raiders that got in there, took over, and now they tricked 33 into letting them in, so they could take their stuff too. And this is again a great scene. So much violence going on. We see people getting a gun shoved in their mouth, and getting shot through the head that way. Somebody getting forked in the eye. Someone crushed in a vault door. All while the song "Some Enchanted Evening" is playing in the background with all this gory stuff happening. It was just an amazing scene of contrast of like, oh, there's this bright cheery thing, but no, like living right next to him is this real dangerous dark world, and now it's invaded their home, their fake perfect home, and eventually Vault 32 they get or 33 they get taken over. Lee Moldolver, she's set up some bombs. She's got Hank, and she ends up giving Hank a choice, like, does he want to save his daughter or the rest? So again, Hank really thinks that Lucy could be the key to the future on the surface, so he puts her in a little blast door room to keep her safe. And Lee Moldolver, she wants Hank, so something is important about Hank. He knows something, or has something, or can do something of importance. And Lee Moldolver takes Hank with her group. They take off. They set the bombs. The rest of the vault dwellers, they take off running to avoid the explosion. Lucy's safe because she's in there. And that's where we cut from that scene, and we're left wondering, okay, well, what happened to Hank? Like, where are they taking Hank? And that was just an overall fun scene. And then here is where we cut to Maximus. Our next little mini story here is Maximus. Again, this is the one where we have Aaron Moten just doing a wonderful job of his acting in here. Again, this character who is, born and raised in the wasteland, had no place to go, finds this cult of Brotherhood of Steel that, is just this badass group that has the badass armor. And yeah, if you don't feel like safe and protected, then and you're living out in that world, then yeah, that's probably where you would go so that you can feel safe and protected. And that's where he ended up. um but it's still a rough living. They use violence as a tool. We see him at the beginning here. He's getting beat up by a group of other, I guess at this point we're calling them trainees. And then we see them in class, basically, where the cleric is teaching them about what their future is, and how that they are going to be squires to these knights that are wearing this power armor. And we learned that squires need to be able to identify tech, so it's important that they know what tech is and that they can identify it, and that they can identify pre-war tech. In fact, Maximus gets whacked in the nose for not knowing what a circuit is, and in this world, a circuit is not common. So it's very valuable to have a circuit. We see the arrival of the knights here in T60 armor, which look awesome in the show. Again, great costuming that they've done in this, and the CG that they've done in this is done really well as well. You could tell Amazon spent a lot of money on this show, which for us as fans is great. We see Maximus on latrine duty, and he is approached by his friend Dane, who takes him to see the armor. And here we get a little bit of a flashback, like Maximus touches the armor, and we see him as a kid again, looking like scared. And we see Dane called away by the Brotherhood, but not Maximus. And eventually Maximus finds out that a bunch of students have been chosen to be anointed as squires, and they're going to go out to the wilds. Maximus, however, was not chosen. He's angry. We cut to next morning. We see Dane screaming. Somebody put a blade in their boot, a razor blade in their boot. They're all cut up, so now they cannot be a squire. Instantly, everybody knows how jealous and angry that Maximus was about this. So the Brotherhood, they come put a bag over his head and take him somewhere. And then we cut back to Lucy. Again, they're all got their bright blue and yellow clothing. They're living in this bright, happy little world, but now there's blood all over the place. And everybody there is scared. Lucy wants to go out looking for her dad, but everybody else, again, too scared. They've never been outside the vault doors. They never even opened the outer vault doors before, so no way do they want to go. But Norm tells Lucy, the rest of these people, they don't want to go look for the dad, because that would ruin their chance to be in charge. So she decides to go out on her own. She ends up getting help from the cousin who's in love with her, and her brother, to help sneak out to the outer vault door and open it. Again, a little funny scene here where Chet, the cousin, he's still thinking he's in love with her, but she says no. sticks him with a tranquilizer so that he can't follow. And then Norm's like, I'm too chicken to follow you, anyways. So you don't have to do that to me. And then the 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 other vault dwellers, like, they end up showing up to try to stop her, but she's already got the vault door open. It goes across a gate, a bridge. The bridge, she already put it down. They can't do anything to stop her. So she goes out into the wasteland, and she sees just how different it is. Just immediately, right outside the vault doors, the buildings are destroyed. People are mummified in ash, like you would think of, like at Pompeii. Then we see her walking along. We can hear waves in the background, and then as she continues to walk, we pull out. We see the pier, so we know we're in California, but not the California as we know it today. Everything is destroyed. And then, yeah, I thought that was just a great scene, again, of setting up the contrast of the worlds, the world that Lucy knows and the world that is outside of the vault. And then let's see here, we cut back to Maximus. Maximus is being questioned here and being scolded. They're just admonishing him, like letting him know, like, hey, we gave you a name, we gave you food, we gave you shelter. They want to know, why did he join the Brotherhood? And Maximus, again, what I loved from Aaron Moten in this scene is, like, he's like whimpering in so much of this scene, right? He's scared, he doesn't know what's going on. And Maximus says, he joined because he wants to hurt the people that hurt him. They ask Maximus, "Are you the one who put that trap in Dane's boot?" He hesitates, but then says no. And then, the elder cleric tells him, "Well, the others are accusing you of doing it," and Maximus says he wouldn't, and they want to know why not. That, Maximus must have aspirations. And Maximus says, well, I wanted it to happen, and asks, is that wrong? And the cleric, Quintus, says yes. That violence is a tool. That's what they have been teaching him. But violence against a fellow brother of steel, that is a sign of weakness. And then Quintus asks Maximus, if he is weak. And Maximus, again, still at this point, still whimpering and cowering, and says he doesn't want to be. All right. And then Maximus has no more to say in his defense, but he thanks the cleric for his guidance and for giving him a home that he had no place in this world. So if he can help Brotherhood make Eden better, he will. And at this point, he's still kind of whimpering. And then, right here, he changes his tone. Even if it means giving my life, I would be grateful to the Brotherhood for giving giving my life meaning. And that right there, when he delivers that line, all of a sudden, he sits up straight, his posture changes, his tone of voice gets more confident, gets deeper. Oh, it was such a good scene right there, such a good piece of acting where, we see his demeanor change. We're really like, well, I kind of see where this is going. If you're about to give me what I think you're going to give me, and it's something that I really want, then yeah, I would give my life for this thing. And he's all of a sudden very confident, and the cleric sees this as well. Cleric Quintus says, "Good boy," and they name him the new squire to Knight Titus. And of course, Maximus is very excited about this. He goes back to camp. He finds Dane in the medical content, and Dane says it's not so bad, and you know they're still going to have a place in the Brotherhood. And um, Dane does not, at this point, still says they don't know who did it, but they were asked if Maximus was the one who did it, and Dane told the Brotherhood that Maximus wouldn't hurt a fly, and Maximus just kind of laughed at that. Then we see Maximus go through like this ceremony where he is branded by the knight Titus with their armor. We learn it's their sacred duty to protect the Brotherhood. The next thing is to protect the mission. The next is to protect his lord, Knight Titus. We see a message coming through, and we learn that this message is being drawn out, and they get given this picture. All right, and it's a picture of their target. So this mission comes from the highest clerics in the Commonwealth, and we learn that it's this denizen of the Enclave that has escaped. Some of the group, you could see the trainees, they're surprised that this thing called the Enclave is real. And then the cleric Quintus goes on to say, well, this person that has escaped from the Enclave, they have an object that has the potential to either harm or save the nation. So each knight is going to go out into the wilds and search for this target. And all we could see, it's just a drawing. We could see it's like a bald man with glasses. We also see that this person has a companion, a dog with them, a German Shepherd to be precise. And then we see Maximus. He's excited. He's carrying all the knight stuff. The knight goes and jumps on this airship. Maximus joins, and they fly off. And then we get our final scene of this episode, final chapter of this episode, I guess, the ghoul. All right, so we opened up with the end, and now we end with the ghoul, going back to the character that we opened up with. So we first start out, we see three men that they call Honcho, Slim, and Biggie. They shoot this guy with like this junk gun, and this guy's got like all this junk sticking out of his body because he just got shot with this contraption that shoots junk, right? And then we see our trio here, Honcho, Slim, and Biggie. They're searching this area for this guy that they want to work with. That Honcho has set this whole thing up. And then they find like these IV bags that are going down into the ground. And now Honcho is the leader. The other two are upset, like, hey, you didn't tell us this person that we're working with, they're a mutant. And Honcho's like, hey, don't talk about him that way. He's a potential co-worker. This could be a ticket to a big payoff. So let's just get this thing together. Let's do this. He knew his dad. Knew this guy and worked with him. So they think it'll be okay. Now we learn. Now Slim and Biggie are also worried. Like, hey, this mutant could be feral now. So what are we gonna do if this thing's feral? And Honcho goes, hey, well, I brought a chicken, so a feral ghoul can't refuse attacking a chicken, so I'm just gonna set this thing down. If this ghoul goes after the chicken, then we know that we need to just kill it right away. they dig up the ground, they pull out this coffin, and the ghoul makes his way out, and it's very clear to me. I don't know if people watching it who don't know Walter Goggins or just don't know the lore of Fallout and how these ghouls are created, but it's clear to me that that this is our character from the beginning of the show, Cooper, right? So now we know that, hey, this guy is somehow been preserved and is alive, looking now like a mutant, as like a ghoul, and he's alive still 219 years later. So you know that all that radiation did something to him, that's for sure. Again, that circle, that chicken's walking around, and at this point the ghoul is just messing with those three, right? Like, he knows why the chicken's there, so he's like going straight for the chicken, but taking his time. He's not going wild, but he goes for that chicken. And he's kind of just teasing them, saying like, hey, you guys look like the biggest circle jerk that I've seen. And when he makes that joke after them being worried that he's looking at the chicken and picking up the chicken, they seem a little relieved that he's joking around and he's not some feral dude that's about to attack him. Honcho explains to the ghoul here that, hey, they got a bounty, it's a big payoff. It would be enough to live off of for the rest of their life, for it'd be one final job type of deal, if he would help them. Shows him the picture of the guy, and then tells the ghoul, hey, the Brotherhood of Steel, or no, he just shows him the picture from the Brotherhood of Steel, the same picture. And the ghoul, he doesn't seem to care. He's just like, I don't care if somebody escaped from the Enclave. But Honcho explains to him, well, you might not be interested in him, but you'd be interested in where he's going to. And he says he's going to Lee Moldolver. That was the person that we saw that was, disguised themselves as the overseer of Vault 32. So it's all coming back around now. And Honcho says, and they're going to California, and that's where you are originally from. And the ghoul does not like this. The ghoul does not like Honcho talking as if he knows anything about him. And so the ghoul starts making some threats, and Honcho's like, well, we're going to put you back into the ground if you're not grateful. And the ghoul is like, you know what? When I hear somebody say that they're doing something as one last job, it usually means their heart isn't in it. And you know what? The ghoul, he does what he does just for the love of the game. And now the ghoul attacks, and he knows exactly what he's doing. He's got he's got skills, right? He's been around for a long time. We know Cooper had military training, and now he's been around for 219 years, living in this harsh world as a ghoul. Well, he's able to take these guys out pretty easily. I mean, Biggie tries shooting him with his like junk gun, but Ghoul grabs Slim real quick and uses him as a shield. Then Ghoul just like completely blows Biggie's head off with the shotgun. And again, just the comedy that came with that violence, the way that it is done. Yes, it is a gory, violent thing, but the way it is presented, it's funny. I don't know why, but it is. And that is something, again, that they nailed so well from the video games. Yeah, you're playing this like violent, ultra violent video game that you're really doing like these dark things, but it's presented in a funny way. So that was done really well. Um, and then the ghoul tells Hancho, "Hey, this is your last job." And then he throws Hancho into the coffin, throws him into the ground, and then he takes off on his own. And we assume that he is now going to California to pursue Lee Moldover and this dude from the Enclave. So that was our episode. I tried not to go into like too many specific details, so I think I'm doing okay. As of right now, my episode is shorter than the episode itself. I've done, like I said, I've done a lot of TV show podcasts in the past, and sometimes some of my episodes would be longer than the episode itself. So I was trying to avoid that. So I think we did okay overall. Hey, I thought the acting in this was really good. The way they set up the world was done really well. Both as if you don't know the video games, you're gonna go into this, and the way they set everything up, you're gonna you can make sense of what's happening. You don't need to know the video games to figure out what's going on in this. So I think they did that really well, and I'm really excited to see what else is coming in the future, because I have a feeling it's going to continue to be good. If the first episode is this good, TV shows tend to be, usually the first episode's one of the worst episodes, because it's just all the setup. So I'm excited to see how much better this thing can really get. But I want to know, what did you think of this episode? I mean, I thought it was amazing. Again, all the actors, I thought did an amazing job in this. I'm just like so impressed that, they all did so well. Like, a lot of these actors and actresses, Walter Goggins, big name, right? But a lot of the other actors and actresses are people I don't really know, and when you look them up, they haven't done a whole lot. So for them to do, to put in these good performances in such a hard world to nail, because again, it's dark and serious, but also hilarious. They did a great job of finding actors and actresses that are able to do that. But yeah, I thought it was a great first episode. Excited to see where it goes next, and let me know what you think. Again, this is going to be very interesting to see how this goes, because again, I've only watched episode 1, but a lot of you probably have already watched the entire series, and I'm just slowly making my way through it. It's not going to be this slow, where it really has been a week since the show came out. This week was just really busy for me, and the one of the nights I thought I was going to be able to record an episode for this, something came up, so I wasn't able to do it. But from this point on, I'm expecting to be able to, like, every 2 to 3 days, I'll put out another review episode, and review what I thought of each specific episode. I'm still going to watch each episode, do an instant reaction of like, hey, I just finished this. This is how I feel after watching the episode, and then we'll come back with a more in-depth look at the episode. But yeah, let me know what you thought of this episode, and let's take it one at a time. I'm not trying to go too far ahead too fast. If you are leaving comments, try not to spoil me on what's coming up. But let's just talk about what's going on in this episode. All right. All right. Well, thank you for checking out this episode. I appreciate it so much. If you are, digging the Fallout show, then subscribe to this channel, because I'm going to be talking about it a lot more. We'll again cover more of these episodes, instant reactions, reviews. Again, I'm going to keep trying to do my best to cut these down shorter. Like maybe next one I'll get even shorter than this. You know, again, it's something I've always been working on when I do these types of shows. I just get so into wanting to talk about everything I saw in the episode, but I'm going to try to not do that. But yeah, you know, we're going to go through them all. It's going to be fun. You know, again, I'm still just upset that they didn't do this as a weekly show so that, you know, it would make sense for us to be on the same pace. But it is what it is. You know, maybe if they do a season 2, maybe the fan base could convince them, hey, that show was so good, and the way you do the episodes, they're set up to have cliffhangers. Why drop them all at once? Why not release them weekly? But then again, you know, maybe there's going to be enough fans out there who are like, hey, well, you you know, you dumped them all at once before. Don't make me wait now. But let me know how you would prefer to view the show. Would you want this to be a weekly show where, you know, they come out once a week and then you have a whole week to talk about it with everybody and get excited for the next video? Or now, because you got season 1 all dumped on you at once and you were able to binge it in a single day, are you like feeling like, well, I don't, you know, I want this season 2 to be the same way now because you know, I don't want to have to wait for each episode. I'm already trained to be able to have them all at once. But there you go. That's going to be the end of this episode. I've been going on, so make sure you subscribe, like, leave the comments. If you're listening on podcast version, same thing. Follow, subscribe, 5-star rating and a written review on Apple Podcasts really helps the show grow as well. And remember, for listening to the Fallout Special Series show, that makes you special.